Hello all, good morning, good evening or good afternoon based on wherever you are watching this. So finally after all these years, Microsoft allowed us to extend CardPageId. Now, if you don't know it, why I'm so seems to be saying that it was needed for all these years and how it changes the whole ecosystem, stay in the video. And we'll understand what is a CardPageId, why you need it, and then why I'm so happy that it's available now. Okay, so let's get into it. So in Business Central, and let's first understand from a client perspective. On your Business Central environment, anything that you open, majorly, most of the things that you open tend to open with a list page. Now, the idea of the list page is that it shows you all the records on that particular entity or selected record based on how you design the page, so that user can then pick on which of these record he or she would like to work on. For any further action on that particular record, you typically double click on it or single click on it, which pops up a card page. And this has been the navigation for so many years, like from the time when RTC was introduced, if I'm not wrong. I think, yeah, that's time 2009, the first RTC version. This was the navigation which was defined. So whenever you will create a table, you will define the associated list page, and then whenever you create a list page, you can or you should also design the associated card page, if any. Now there are some list pages which don't need a card page, right? You can see other pages into the system, but there are pages like this item card which need to be happen. So now how it's kind of configured into the system, for that let's quickly see it. And we are into the history of it more or less. So when you get into the base application and you pick any of the table which have an associated list page, you will notice here that there are two page IDs listed here: the drill down page ID and the lookup page ID. Now this tells you that these are the pages which will kind of act as a default drill down or a lookup view whenever a code is written which is trying to have user visibility to the records in this particular table, which is customer table. Okay, so whenever somebody writes a code where there is a table relation to customer, it automatically goes and opens up the customer list. Now what happens on the customer list? When you get into a list page, which we were on the item list, you have to define, or you should define, if there is a card page associated, that what is the card page associated to this list, so that when user clicks on that record, this particular page pops up with that particular record, and then user can then modify or change. Now for all these years, you were not able to, and we were not able to, extend the card page ID on the list page. As soon as I used to do this, I can write whatever the page I want, and let's say and there is an error message right now which says modifying card page ID for extension is not available in runtime 14.0. It is only supported on version 15.0 and higher. So make sure, even if there is no issue on your extension, you should increase the runtime so that you can go ahead and start using these features like card page ID changes. Okay, now let's understand why I'm so happy about it. Now think of a situation where customer would like to have a different card page for the business reasons, that okay, Saurabh, this card page looks good, but the changes that we need for our business are not seems complex on the existing Microsoft page. Why don't we create our own page and then use that for our business? Makes complete sense, right? But as we talked about, the card page is always associated with the list page. So whenever a customer says that I need a new card page for a particular entity, you also have to develop a new list page, and then you can complete the whole navigation. So just to do a modification on one page, you were ending up doing two pages at that time, and then you had problems throughout the system to kind of settle it down. Now what happens now? With runtime 15.0 or 2026 v26, which is 2025 release wave 1 or higher, you will now be able to say, okay, the customer list is okay, but whenever somebody clicks on the record in customer list, I should be able to navigate not to the customer card, but to my customer card, which is a completely separate customer card, where I have two groups, part 1 for the demo and then the part 2, and there are some fields associated with it. So now let's see in action what happens when I define this change. So as soon as I've defined this and I go into my customers record, now by default the Microsoft customer card should open when I try to access any of these records. But when I click on it, it actually pops up my customer card rather than the Microsoft customer card, which then gives me flexibility to modify the behavior as per the business need. Now, I know there is a question. I know it's coming in your mind. So let's talk about this. What happens, because it's an extension property, and we all know that multiple apps can extend the same page, right? So maybe there's an app built by you and then an app built by me. And in both the situation, you defined a different card page ID for your extension on a particular record, and I defined a different page ID. So as per the documentation from Microsoft, as of today, whenever there are multiple card page ID definition into the page, the last one will be used. So if multiple page extension are modifying this property, the last extension to be applied will take effect. Now, how do we know what is the last? So pertinent extensions are applied after app source extension. This means that if there are multiple app source apps setting up the same card page ID, let's say for the customer card, then there is a PTE or pertinent extension, then the last one is PTE, which then will use, right? Now, there is always this confusion, and still today, that which of the extension will take priority. As of today, the verdict from the Microsoft article is the last extension that applied on that page will take the effect. Now, are you happy with that? I'm not sure about it. As in, knowing which extension will take priority is surely important, because if there are multiple extensions extending the same property, it can be a real challenge. But hopefully we'll have some better clarity into future about this. Okay, so at the end of this video, but you know the 3 things that I always ask you. 1, do share this video with one person whose life or whose work will be a lot simpler if he knows about it or she knows about it, right? Additionally, if you have legacy extensions where you have done this, which I explained, it's time to fix those. It's time to reduce the number of objects in your PTE so that those look good, right? In future, if you're doing development, keep this in mind. Then what next? If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do that. It acts as a motivation for us, and we understand that for you it's just one click, but for us it's a great motivation that we are actually doing something. It's kind of a feedback loop. And then stay connected and do comment. Do you think it's good? Do you think there is a problem? Do you think not that good? Anything, do comment on this video so that we understand how you are feeling about this video. And then I'll see you sooner than later into the next video. Till then, keep learning and keep sharing whatever you're learning. Thank you and have a nice day.